I found most interesting about this report is actually not so much what was said, it was what was not said, interestingly. And I would preface what I would say with the lesson that I've learnt in my long life, certainly here in the UK, and I have no doubt it applies equally across North America, is that in the history of public inquiries of whatever form they take, never in the history of public inquiries set up by the establishment have they ever ruled against the establishment. So in the context of that, it's very unlikely that any public inquiry will ultimately find fault or any negative, certainly anything with a significant negative impact upon the establishment itself. So I think with that in mind, you've always got to enter interpreting what is said with these things, knowing that probably if there is something really damning against a state failure, they're not going to highlight it, or if they do insert it somewhere in the report, it's going to be buried, or at least it's going to contain such euphemistic language that the state will not actually be found at fault, when in fact it probably is. So that's I think the context with which to approach this. And I did find it interesting, of course, as I said at the beginning, that there's a lot not said in this, and she made, and to her credit, she did say very clearly, the terms of my mandate are very precise. The parameters within which I'm reporting are very limited. It is literally only looking at the electoral process of the last election. That is only what she can look at, and finding any issues relating to that. She said that I could not look into other areas where clearly there may well be significant interference, and that includes the academic sector, universities, that includes the scientific fraternity, that includes private industry, the industrial sectors. In other words, these huge areas of society where actually we do know and often report on clear interference from India and the RSS, etc., particularly in academia. So she said that, and I can't look into those areas. And again, it's by what she's not saying. In other words, I can't investigate those areas, but by implication, clearly there is a lot of interference going on in those other areas. So that, I think, in itself was very significant. She also said that she held at least 6 days of investigations in camera, that is, not in the public eye. In other words, clearly she's had to delve deep into the bowels of Canadian intelligence agencies, into the intelligence fraternity, and areas that really is not in the public interest to be revealed, which in itself, again, implies that there's some dirty business going on, not on the Canadian side, but it involves a dirty business under the surface, which obviously involves Indian intelligence as well. In other words, this is not anything that's in the public domain, anything that's in public discourse. It is obviously going on beneath the surface, which again implies by its very definition that it is secretive, clandestine, and shouldn't be going on.